Hi, girls.
Hi there. Hey, Miss Sarah.
How are you, Tammy?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good. Kathy Grubbs,
Hello.
is your baby dog there?
She's on the back of the couch. I think she's going to sleep.
Hey, Tay, are you lying flat? My sister Nell used to have a, oh gosh, it was a combined Chihuahua and miniature poodle, I think. Her name was Lucy, and she was tiny, and she would get up on my shoulder. Essentially, she was on the couch, but she would just look like she was sitting on my shoulder. She was like a cat.
Oh, that's funny.
Miss Sarah, did you get the bills I put on your porch?
I did. Thank you, Tammy. And that 18,000. You told us that in $18,000 in August for the sales tax.
Oh, yes. Quite
That's
impressive.
just stunning. Yeah. Huh.
A little positive in all this mess.
Oh God, yeah.
Frank is the only one I haven't heard from.
Okay, and we're still okay without Frank, yeah? Is that right?
We are, I think, and Sasha was not going to be in attendance either.
Right. Tammy, do you know, is she okay?
I think so.
Okay, okay.
I didn't, I still wasn't able to get any emails by the time I left today, so
Yeah,
I think I missed a few.
sure.
Sasha, yesterday, we went down and got coffee / steamers. And we talked to her for a little while.
Was she okay?
I think so. Did she say something to somebody that she wasn't okay?
No. It may just be a conflict. I was just concerned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she looked great yesterday.
Yeah.
She had her little girl.
Good. Oh, good.
Her life is busy, so it could be any number of things.
Yes. So I guess maybe we take that item off the agenda or table it.
Yeah. I mean, unless others want to talk about it, I would say yeah.
Okay.
Hey, TJ.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Nice to have you with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that I can be here tonight. Hopefully we have some good discussion on it.
Cool.
Are we expecting Beth Justice to be on the call?
I don't
No.
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I know Sash was trying to get her to come.
So she's not, then yeah, we can definitely table that till next week, next meeting.
Yeah.
And Sarah, did you receive my report?
I did. Yeah. Thank you.
Sent you an update. I'm sorry I didn't get to the rest of it.
Don't worry about it, Tammy. We'll pick up on it after the meeting.
Okay.
I just realized we are all trying so hard and we do the best we can.
I've learned to give up a little bit and try to take life one step at a time. So, yes, I appreciate your patience.
Yeah. No.
There's Frank. Hi, Frank.
Hello.
Hey, Frank.
Hello again.
What
What are you laughing at?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You're not wearing your Santa suit.
Oh, I forgot my bell. I was intimidated by your
You
note.
can't wear your bell. If you wore a Santa suit and carried a red bucket, then you could come to the meeting with bells on.
Yes. Well, I was truly intimidated by your note, so I did not wear my bells.
Yeah, right. Hi, Frank. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Hi, TJ.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Kathy.
How's your better half, Chris?
Oh, she's doing good.
I'm just kidding, Chris. I'm just
She's
kidding.
still dealing with me, so you know. I'm
Ah,
happy.
God.
I'm happy.
Sounds
Hi,
like
Tabby.
somebody's dinner's done.
Kathy,
What? Hi.
I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
I was informed by a citizen today and somebody who I kind of trust that Siri has been directing people to come to drive by your house when it's crowded. Is there any way to let Siri know we will cut her fucking tongue out if she persists in that behavior? Is there anything we could do about that?
Siri is Apple, so
Yeah, I mean, don't even try to explain it to me because, me and
the only
tech.
thing I can guess is that it's reporting, like on Google Maps, it's reporting that Water Street is closed.
Yes,
And so maybe
know
if you're
that.
on Baker, whatever the Bakerville Road is called, when you're on that one and you get down to Water Street, it's a different street. So then it's directing them to go on to
No,
Main
no,
Street
I
because it's
understand
not
that.
reported as closed.
That the question I'm asking is however and whatever And for, whether it's Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un or Donald Trump, how do we stop it? How do we stop Siri from telling people to drive by Don and Kathy's house?
Well, however, Tay got Bakerville,
All
where the
right.
side road closed and and Water Street closed, if she could then get it reported that Main Street was closed.
Well, and we have the right to, as I stated before, I spoke to the sheriff about it. Now, there's a question about the stretch from Water Street to the.
Marty, we lost you. And you
Yeah.
guys, Sam just texted me and said he'd be on as soon as he could. He's having technical difficulties.
Yeah, Marty, can you repeat what you were saying about the stretch between?
Water Street and the east end of the transfer station. Chris told me it was a county road or roughly that part of it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I know it's weird, but what isn't weird these days? You have a bloated Cheeto in the White House. Look at it. What's not weird?
Yeah, this last one was particularly disturbing because we have now 5 children down here in this end of town that
Oh, I know.
were
Well,
playing
that's-
in the park and running back and forth, and so their mothers
It's
were quite
throughout
concerned
town.
about the traffic.
Throughout town, they're looking for a way to get through town. They're not paying attention. And I haven't followed up. Maybe I'll do it this week with the transfer station to see if what I heard about them being interested in figuring out a way to put a gate across it.
Ooh.
So I'll ask them and I'll update them. But my main concern right now, the question is somebody with technological expertise, is can we force Siri to, stop telling people to drive by your house?
Yeah, I think if we could close that one, and like I said, I think Tay got that
Yeah,
done.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask Tay when she
yeah,
does
Tim
the
might be able to
report,
help us.
if it's
Because
possible.
Main Street was closed as Water Street is, at least it would be. I mean, they're ignoring it, but
Well, and also if there is an incident, as if they run over a sign, for example, and have one of our fine citizens have to chase down.
Funny you mentioned that. I have a story, Kathy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was delighted to see that. Did you scare them?
I don't
Anyway,
know.
that's all. At this point, that's the rest of it is very valid, and we can then, since we can close the streets and it's posted as, or it's this Siri isn't telling anyone, we've got a certain amount of, if they have time to come up here and do something to people, especially if they're obnoxious and etc. I just, trying to figure out a way that within the parameters of reasonability. Hi, Sam. We can do something about the Main Street traffic, starting with Siri telling her to shut the fuck up and stop telling people to drive by Don and Kathy's house.
I don't think it's just
That's all.
Don
I
and
don't want-
Kathy.
I'm done talking about it. That's all I want to know, and I'll ask Taste, and she's our seemingly our. Hi, Daisy. Hi, Sam.
So Kathy, they ran over the tripod sign in front of my house. Big guy in a truck with a big black trailer. And he kind of, sort of, as best he could, peeled around the corner over the bridge up Woodward towards the on-ramp. And the traffic was so backed up and slow, I ran. I did a 50-yard dash, and I caught up to the guy with my mask on, gasping, and I just faced him down and said, "You just ran over my sign." And he said, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't see any sign. If I did, well, I guess I'm sorry." And I said, "You sure did." And he said, "Well, did I break it?" And he didn't. He just kind of smashed it. He didn't really break it, but I told him he broke it. And then I stormed away, and the people that were lined up in the cars, I'm sure they saw me as this really wicked, pissed bitch striding back to her house. And I was so embarrassed with myself, but I was so angry with the guy. Oh, anyway, that's my embarrassing story.
And I wanted to adopt your 2x4 speed bump. Your 2x4 speed bump seems to be very effective, but maybe not.
If they're
Yeah.
not, they pay for it. But what you need to do is anyone who is impacted on Main Street is to maybe you could ask the town to buy some, toddler-sized dolls and bottles of ketchup.
Oh,
Running
whoa.
after these people saying, I got a picture of your license plate, pull over now, and I'm going to meet the sheriff's deputies. Look what you did. You ruined my doll.
Hey, Sam, can you hear us? Are you ready?
I can just barely hear you. I left my headphones at the shop. I can just barely hear you on the computer audio. So give me just a minute to try and find a set of them earplugs here. I know I've got one here shortly, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Does anyone else like my idea?
Kind of scary.
It
Well,
is.
have you seen what my daughter has done in front of her house to try to get him to slow down?
I love what she's done.
We got trikes and bikes and.
I think that's great.
I do too.
I still think, and I volunteer to do it, we get a electric wheelchair with a doll baby in it. And when someone is speeding on Main Street, I'll push a button and slowly roll it out in front of them. And then the town can get sued because they get in a wreck. The passenger is paralyzed forever. And the driver, who's really the responsible party, nothing happens to.
Say, Marty.
Lucas.
Hey, Marty, I think you've been spending too much time with animated dolls lately.
I haven't spent any in about 5 years.
Oh,
I
God.
gave that up. I play real fun.
Excuse me.
You want to mute your coughs?
Forgive me.
Hey, it's a pandemic. Well, what can we do?
Or we can have Siri tell everyone that the entire town of Silver Plume has COVID-19 and is quarantined. Please stay out.
Yeah, we could put quarantine signs up. Like they did in the 1920s or something when a place was quarantined.
Yeah.
We could put traffic in very small letters on top, so we cover our ass, and traffic quarantine.
So I did see a funny thing yesterday. So we were down by the park and somebody stopped and they stopped right by the park and the guy walked over and took a picture of your old little sign that says latch the trash can so the bear can't get in. And I got a funny feeling that he thought, well, bears can't open that door. And he took a picture of the sign.
Great.
So now we need a picture of the bear in the trash can.
Oh, that's great.
So I was just wondering if that was going to make 9 News or something, that we thought we had smart enough bears to get into our bear-proof trash cans.
If a bear gets in through the side door, it's a baby. If a bear gets in through the top, then we need to evacuate town.
Yeah.
One big badass bear.
Well, we
I like
definitely have
alliteration. Big badass bear.
We have a big
company.
butted bear, that's for sure. He's big when he waddles. If he just waddles away.
Yeah, no, he was on top. He took off compromised one of the cans, the dumpster lid, the plastic one. So I told him to call and get one is at the park and at the.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, and the bread bar.
Sarah?
Yes.
3
You go ahead
days.
and start the meeting. I'm gonna have to run over and grab my earphones real quick. It'll take me about 5 minutes. Go ahead and start the meeting and I'll join as soon as I get back. I can't hear you.
You're muted, Sarah.
Oh, sorry about that. I had my mute button on. Coughing. No, welcome everybody. We're starting the meeting at 7:12. We have everybody here except Sasha, and Sam will be back in a jiffy. And I will welcome a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I have a comment.
Please, Kathy, go ahead.
So I don't really want to modify the agenda, but I do have a comment that I would like recorded in the minutes. And so I would like to make a motion basically for public notification that the minutes of today's 9/28/2020 Board of Trustees meeting include the status of the proposed ordinance 345 short-term rentals. The ordinance town attorney has reported that the task force has been disbanded, and therefore the Board of Trustees vote on July 20th of 2020 that rejected the proposed ordinance 345 would still apply. And that's all. And I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I'd like to see that in the minutes.
Yeah, and Kathy, absolutely. And if you would like to add it to the agenda, we can do. We just can't make a motion on it.
Excuse me. We have the STR committee update, and I think Sam had something to say about that. I did not receive the email today, but Rick Caldwell said that Sam received it. And we also need to add the letter of support for the rec district's grant application for recreational funds. They need that by October 1st.
Okay, we can't move on either of those, but certainly we can add them to the agenda.
Okay.
Is it what, any other, Kathy, thanks for that. And Tammy, thanks for that. Help us remember that last one, if you would.
Okay.
Any other comments on the draft agenda before we seek a second motion?
This is Tay. I was on the draft committee, and I don't really think it's appropriate to have a full board discussion without posting it onto the agenda, because I could see what might happen is it gets all discussed and something kind of gets decided, and then nobody knows or hears about it or gets to participate in it, and then you move on it at the next meeting and nobody has any reference. So I, as somebody that worked with all the people that were on that, it was not posted at the post office or at the office that would be on the agenda tonight.
Yeah, no, I understand that concern, Tay, and I, I think what we do is put it on the next agenda formally for a full discussion, and have, a brief discussion about it tonight on the meeting, because one of the board members has asked to add it to the agenda and understands that we can't take a motion on it.
Yeah, I had no desire to have a discussion. I just wanted the status of it in the minutes.
Okay, Kathy.
Discussion about the short-term rentals. I just wanted to have it reflected in the minutes that the task force had been disbanded and that the vote of July 20th, 2020 was the last vote we had on it, and so it still applied.
Okay, all right, okay. So I guess, Tay, your suggestion, unless somebody else has a difficulty with just recording Kathy's specific comment for the record, we'll just make sure to put it formally on the agenda for the next meeting, so that folks have awareness. Any other concerns about the agenda?
Marty?
I'm waving frantically. I'm sorry.
Oh, Marty, I'm sorry. I have the agenda in front of my face and I can't see it.
Okay. Just a quick question. Sam had something to say. Would it be appropriate to just have his comment or update and not have a discussion?
I'm going to suggest that he just delay it, unless it's urgent, that he just delay it until the next meeting, Marty.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can ask him, but I suspect he'll be fine with just delaying it until the next meeting. But so we've had a motion to approve the agenda. We have added a comment that does not have to do with adding agenda items. Sounds like the agenda itself is acceptable. And do we have a motion to a second on the agenda?
Second.
Thanks, Frank. And anybody, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes, folks. I think that's right.
Kathy, vote.
Kathy, did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I.
Sounds
Sorry.
good. No, thanks, Tammy. Okay, so I think we are turning to public comment. And hi, Darcy, welcome.
Hi.
We have opportunity for public comment if you'd like to add anything.
I'm sorry, I missed what was talked about already, so I have no comment right now.
Okay, sounds good. How about bill payment?
Minutes. Oh, Bill, did you all get the bills?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
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 So any motion to approve the bills before we have discussion or questions?
I would move that we approve the list of bills pertaining to this meeting.
Second.
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay, anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thanks, you guys. The motion passes. The bills are approved. Tammy?
Thank you.
Cool, all righty. Administrative items. We have approval of minutes that Tammy circulated for the 14th of September. Entertaining motions.
I have
I
a
move.
Kathy, shall we go ahead and move to approve and then have discussion, or?
Well, this comment has to do with the minutes.
Yeah, so we approve and then we have discussion.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, we don't approve. We move to approve and then we have discussion and then.
On the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move to approve the minutes of September 14th, 2020.
Hey, Kathy, dive in.
Okay, so, oh, I get you. Okay, so within the minutes, there was a comment that we approved the bills at, I don't know, $300 less than what the bills came in on. The bill that Tammy sent out in addition, another email the day after our meeting, and it had $300 for truck repair on it. And so I was just wondering if we needed to change those minutes to reflect the 30,222.81 as opposed to the 29,922.81.
Good question.
I actually noted the truck purchase at the end of the minutes when they talked about the vehicle maintenance.
Okay,
Those are the parts for the dump truck.
right.
But do we need to recalculate and change the total number? Kathy, is that your point?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Tammy, I didn't see the 300 at the end. Yeah, do we need to change just that total on there, or know that
Well,
it's
it wasn't on the list of bills, but it would be up to you if you want me to do that. For the record that I put with the agenda, I did add it to the end of the list and put a new total. So
Oh, okay. And I second the approval of the minutes.
Okay, any, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And Marty, you said aye?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good. Thanks, Marty. So we're good. We're good. All righty. Staff updates.
I'm back.
Hey, Sam, we're just doing staff updates.
Okay. I'll start out with for Tay. She's unfortunately not going to be able to give her update today. She injured her back working in the town shop yesterday and spent most of the day doctor's appointments and stuff. So she will send her report out via email within the next day or two.
Sam,
Yeah.
this is Sarah. Can you just give folks a high, I mean, she's been doing a heck of a lot of work. Can you just like high level give folks an idea of some of the things that she's been working on?
Okay. She's got the heaters for the town shop. She's been working on installing them. Got a lot of grindings from the work they're doing at the tunnel, the asphalt grindings that was given to the town. She's been getting those stacked up and put back so we can use them. Sarah, you want to add to that? I'm sorry, my mind's not really here right now. I've been homesick all day and then in a hurry to get set up because I woke up too late. So
No, Sam, no, much appreciated, Sam. I just, folks, Tay is going to be reporting comprehensively in the next couple of days, like Sam said, and a lot's been happening. So stay tuned. Sam, I'm sorry to put you on the spot there.
that's okay. I just need a few minutes to get my head together.
I have a question
Go ahead.
on where are the asphalt tailings going to be utilized? Are they going to do all the streets in town, or is it a specific area, or what?
I believe that they're going to be used wherever they're needed. We don't really have a plan right now as to where. I believe by the time they get done, we might have enough to do all the streets. I do know, and Tay can explain this better when she gives her report, that there's a tax credit that goes along with using these grindings from the state. So much per mile that we use. So there's some advantage there, but I believe they're just kind of for wherever we need them at the time.
I would suggest that we have a town board discussion on using these tailings on our streets. We have had unpaved streets since the 1800s, and a decision to start paving our streets, I think, should be up for discussion before we do it. So I would suggest we put that on a future town board meeting discussion agenda.
And in the near term, probably, Frank.
Yes.
We're not technically paving the streets with putting them down, Frank. They're in a gravel form. They don't adhere to itself like you're thinking asphalt would. The road will actually eat up most of that material and it'll still be a dirt road. It'll just have a little bit more fill into it. It's not going to be like paved streets in town by any means. That stuff doesn't go back together the way it was when they tore it apart.
Well, my concern is that I hate to change the character of the town without a discussion of it.
Fair enough. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The road that goes where Main Street goes through the transfer station, that's all done with grindings, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So if you want to, if anybody wants to see what it's going to look like, or if it's going to change the appearance, go drive through the transfer station.
And the tail end of Madison that goes up against the creek was recycle asphalt on it as well.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I'll go down and take a look at those before the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but I agree with Frank. We should have a discussion, and I'm going to check it out as well. But Sam, real quick, how expensive were those those tailings?
As far as I know, and we'll have to check with Tay to correct me, I think they were given to us.
Yeah, they're all 100% free. Everything
That's my
everybody's getting in town are free.
So if we're, we determine we're comfortable using, they were for free and we're deferring the cost of our normal road care materials, and we may get a tax break for this. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes,
Okay, all right, thanks.
it's a very good thing, and we're recycling I-70.
CDOT doesn't have to pay to get rid of them.
Okay, is
Speculate
is there any more comment for the Public Works? Okay, let's move on to Tammy, the town clerk's report.
Did you all receive my email?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
received your email about 15 minutes before the meeting started, as I'm sure probably everybody did. Really not enough time to be able to look over it. In the future, I'd appreciate it if you could get that out to us with a little more time before the meeting.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that this morning, but it didn't work out that way, so I apologize.
Okay.
And I haven't even checked the email, so I'm remiss. on
Oh,
that.
Tammy's just gonna walk through it then. What do you think?
That's great. Thank you.
The bank reconciliation went to the auditor or the CPA last week. I did get it back, but as I said, I did not have any internet service today, so I was unable to get it back into my system. So I am getting the file ready for the budget committee so they can move forward. I worked on a lot of building permits the last couple of weeks. We had the cell phone tower building completed and issued a certificate of completion. The orange doors are gone. The black doors are installed. The orange doors were just a mistake, so they hoped we wouldn't notice, but a lot of people did. 540 Water Street development plans have been passed on to Kelly Babien to review for the building permit. We got the dumpster hauled away, so I guess you could call the hose cart and the Brewery Spring projects finished. We need some linseed oil or some kind of weather sealer on the cedar shingles Brewery Spring building, and probably on the boardwalk at Town Hall as well. And Timberline did supply the dumpster for that project, so I wanted to thank them. And I wanted to thank Tay for removing the barricades from Town Hall. Now we can take a picture of the building and put that up for people to enjoy. We're going to go ahead and purchase our membership for the International Residential Code so we can get the books we need for the adoption to update the building code. The membership is $147. Quite a few of the publications and the main code book. So there will be other benefits to that membership and a few other small publications to go along with that. So it's pretty minimal cost. It'll be for a year. I did some computer training and working on my computer last week, and I got my remote connection back on the laptop so I can be able to work from home. The bill for the software was on your bills tonight for $99. And then the property survey that's also on the agenda that we took a walk up and down Main Street rather than visiting all your town properties this time. I've also been trying to track down records of elections for the state. They were looking for our Tabor elections, which would allow you to spend more than 5% of the increased limit on your budget. I did not find any other than the Emergency Services District and the excise tax that you passed a couple years ago. Not done very much work on the inside of the building. I did get rid of quite a bit of trash. Tay is done with the drywall repairs now, so I'll go ahead and try to start cleaning a little more in the meeting room so it can be ready for whatever it needs to be used from. And then start moving the files around to get ready for next year. So quite a few of those items on my evaluation list are in the process, and I will update you hopefully by the end of the week on the completion and process for the other ones that I hadn't gotten to yet.
Hey, Tammy,
Yes.
that I'm just quick follow up. That sounds great. And the board hasn't yet seen your list of tasks to do for the review. So we'll do that at the next meeting. So everybody's up to speed. But Tammy had a, good solid list of suggested tasks. And Tammy, yeah, your progress report sounds really good. I wanted to sidestep for a jiffy and just say that I think the spring house, whatever we call it, looks stellar. I think the work on that building is just superb. And if for Kathy, can you extend thanks to the appropriate party and Marty and Sam for working on that, and whoever else did. I just think it's stellar.
Yes, I wanted to try and get some pictures so we could thank them publicly, maybe in the Current or something. And definitely we could post it on the website.
Yeah,
A lot of the
let
buildings.
Jethro know too, because he did all the painting.
Yes, they just look so bright and happy.
I have a question for you, Tammy.
Okay.
You said at the beginning of your report there that you didn't have internet again today. Is that at the town shop or town office here?
Yes. Are you
What do we need to do to fix that? Do we need to change internet providers? Do we need to get the wiring in the town hall redone? What's the solution there? I've got internet here at the house, and I mean it's not the best as far as strength or whatever, but I've never lost it for a full day. What do we need to do to fix that?
Well, I did not get a hold of Tay because I had talked to Sarah early in the day. And then around noon, I discovered that it was the server was offline. So I do not know how to fix that. I do not know what the problem was today. But I hadn't had an email since Thursday.
It seems to be a reoccurring problem. Not that I'm blaming you for it or anything. I'm just wondering what we need to do to fix it. It seems to hamper progress on a lot of things.
That goes without saying. I had 3 weeks of no internet here at my house, and I have been struggling with the town hall internet for a long time. It comes and goes. So I do not know what the answer is at the moment. I was just trying to get through the week, but today was all of the devices were offline. So I'm not sure if it was, and I did the regular turn it off and unplug it and turn it back on. So I am not sure what the problem is, Sam, but I will follow up on that in the morning.
Okay, maybe we need to ask Craig what his recommendation is as far as solving the internet problems. I don't know who else to ask. We need to get something done about it. It's causing too many problems. Kathy?
Who is our provider right now?
Comcast.
Because that might be just where we need to go. Maybe the router needs to be replaced or something. It sounds like a call to Comcast needs to be made.
Well, the message on the screen said BL Web Solutions is currently offline. So I'm assuming that it was something with our server.
Yeah, because we have Comcast also, and ours was fine all day. So
Yeah,
there's
mine was
probably
too.
something wrong with the server / router. I mean, it's me. So Comcast might need to come out and take a look at it.
I will follow up with Craig in the morning and see what can be done.
They can also, Comcast Xfinity can also check from the office
Mm-hmm.
to see where the issue is.
Yeah. So Tammy, maybe both of those things tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, is that all for Tammy? Anybody else have questions or comments? Okay, go ahead.
I said I was all good.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to COVID-19 update. I'm still attending the meetings twice a week, every week. The COVID count is going up in the state, in the country, and in the county. Right now, as of last Wednesday's meeting, there was I think a case in one of the high school grades and a case in one of the middle school grades. And both of those grades, all the kids are supposed to be under quarantine now. They tested them the beginning of the week. I haven't heard the results of the testing yet. I know high school and middle school, I believe, are on remote learning right now, and the elementary, including Georgetown, is still at in-person learning. There's concern all over the place about another wave coming through and numbers going up. So they're asking everybody to continue with what we've been doing. The CARES group, and I was hoping Sasha would be here for this because she worked on this some too. The county has a business grant program where they're trying to help businesses out by giving them money from the CARES Act. And the town of Silver Plume has $10,000 in of CARES Act funding that is supposed to go to help offset the cost of COVID-19. When we was going through that, I believe we added up where we had like $4,000 worth of expense that we could relate back to COVID-19. The town of Georgetown and I believe Idaho Springs, at least partially, has taken their CARES Act money and voted to put that money into the county's business grant program to help out businesses. I would like to have a discussion. I would like for us to take our $10,000 of COVID money or CARES Act money and do the same thing. I know we have businesses in town that have applied for that grant, and I believe they'll end up with some money out of it. I don't think the impact to Silver Plume directly from COVID as far as the town goes has been as big as it has to other towns. And I'd like for us to use this money to help out businesses in the county. Anybody else have an opinion on that?
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But one quick point is, I think we're the only town that really participated from a municipal standpoint to keep those exploitative gravel pedophiles off of that meadow leading up to the dumpsters. So we do tend to participate in nobility and lend our massive strength to the forces of light fighting eternal darkness.
Okay. Anybody else have comments? Would anybody care to make a motion to that effect?
Frank says
I would
he's,
make a motion that the town of Silver Plume donate its, what is it, CARES money to the economic relief portion, whatever it is. I forget the name, but anyway, I make a motion, we donate that.
Okay.
I second it. Sarah seconds it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'll let the county know. All right, that's pretty much it for the COVID update. Oh, I did want to say it's not really COVID, but last Sunday I went to the mayor's and county commissioners youth awards presentation at the Easter Seals camp, and it was a very rewarding experience. There was, I believe, seven kids that got $500 scholarships, and each of them got a laptop and a printer for overcoming adversity in their lives, and it was a pretty good deal. Just want to let everybody know about that. Okay, we'll move on. Just a minute. Let me look at the. Okay, the first item under new business is community planning strategies with TJ. TJ, you're up.
Hey, good evening. There we go. Let's go ahead and get that going. Hey, so good evening, everyone, and thanks for letting me come by today and give an update. I know it's been a while, and you know, like you were just saying, Mayor, COVID has kind of toyed with a lot of money. It's created a bunch of new funds, but it's taken a toll on everything else, and that's kind of what I have in the report. And my apologies in getting it out late over the weekend. So we'll just walk through this, and if you happen to have it with you, we'll just walk through my memo, and we can discuss where needed. So it's free flowing. Feel free to stop me at any time, ask questions. At the end of this, there are a couple of questions that I want to talk about with the board, and hopefully we can get some direction, and that'll get me going in that right path. So first and foremost, the water meter replacement project. You might remember we kind of shifted my scope a little bit to look at those specifically. And this is a project that COVID just knocked the legs right out from under. This type of a project used to be funded under CWCB grant for water efficiency grant program. And with the limited funds, they no longer do or fund these types of projects. They're using them for planning grants and efficiency planning grants. So how can you conserve water? So unfortunately, that's no longer an option. And in digging around even more, the only options for water meter replacement are actually loans. Well, actually, I should actually back up and say that I did talk with the South Platte Basin Grant, or the South Platte Basin Roundtable, which is a subset of the Water Conservation Board. And they do have a grant application that could be used for this, but again, it's smaller projects, a lot more competitive. And they have two stipulations there in their application criteria. One being that they don't fund deferred maintenance projects. And they also require that any funds that they provide meet a statewide criteria. And you also go after statewide fund. I might have jumped ahead. Let me just back up a second. That when Colorado Water Conservation Board has a lot of different programs, funding programs. One of them is through the roundtables and the basins. So there are 5 or 6 basins throughout the state. They each have their own roundtable that has a pot of funds. And then there's a statewide pot that looks at all of them across the board. And you can get both of them, right? They're both pots that are available, and they both have separate criteria. So you're eligible for both as long as you meet the criteria. And essentially what happens is when you're just doing water meters in Silver Plume, that doesn't have a conservation benefit in, say, Metro Denver. And so it's really hard to make that case that this project would have a statewide benefit and meet some of the criteria of the water plan. So, and on top of that, they reduced the amount of money that they would offer. The max is $30,000 right now. And I guess what it kind of boils down to when we get to it is that it's probably just not worth the energy to go after that because of the poor competitive nature in this competitive environment for this project. So there are the loan opportunities. And again, I think that just depends on what you'll hear me say throughout this is what's the cash flow situation, what's the funding situation, what's the priorities. Because when we started this, it was all grants, and that requires a match, but not necessarily interest or anything like that. So that is definitely a change in this particular case. So the moral of the story for the water meters is that there's really no grant money out there for it right now. We could do a loan. And I guess the question, and I mean, I have some stuff on the loan. It's basically, there's a minimum requirement of $100,000, which you could probably meet. And then there's like about a 2%. Usually these rates are under 2%. But maybe just a straw poll or some conversation on this project. Is a loan even worth pursuing for this project? Maybe some thoughts there.
Go ahead, Sarah.
TJ, just a couple of questions. Do we have a rough idea of how much we're looking for? If I'm assuming we're trying to like replace them all. And do we have a rough idea what that is number wise? And is it 100,000? So that's one question. And to be clear, we'd be going for a loan of 100,000, say, and it would be a 2% or less loan interest. So it did just some grounding on that.
Yes. Now, great question, because I have the same question. I don't know exactly. And of course, when it comes to grants versus loans, grants, you're like, okay, give me all the money I can afford to match. When it comes to loans, it's a little bit different. So I hadn't gotten enough information to know the priority meters. Generally, I would say these meters, and Sam, you might even know more, but they're generally between maybe $3,000 and $5,000 each. So
I don't think they're near that much. Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong. We're looking at somewhere less than 300 a piece.
They're about 250 a piece.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So it's just
Okay.
the meter, and it's not really even SCADA or anything.
Well, that's the
probably
cost. That's the cost of the meter, but there's also the cost of installing the meter, and
Right.
Yeah.
and there's some other things that go along with it.
Could I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
I can probably get some estimated prices and maybe some ideas of who could do the installation and give you an update at a later board meeting.
Okay, yeah, that's great, Tammy. And I was going to say, TJ, so probably we're looking at, let's say 300 plus, I don't know, maybe it's $1,000 a shot or less times 130.
For the purpose of this discussion, let's just say $1,000 a piece times how many meters do we have? Okay, so 136,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And Yeah, so that's kind of the option there. It would be a loan, and before we kind of move too deep into that, I do think it starts really becoming a cash flow issue, which is what we get into in the next discussion. But anything else on the meters before we move on?
Let me ask the board a question here. The reason why I brought up trying to use a grant for this was because I really didn't want to have to pass that cost on to the public, the consumer. But if we can't get a grant, we have to get a loan. It's eventually going to be passed back to them anyway. So do we want to go through the trouble of getting a loan, or do we just want to tell everybody your meter needs replaced, you got to pay for it?
What about an in between, Sam? Like I'll pay for my meter. I'm able to do that. It's just something I will plan to do, and there will be other people like me. I wonder if we should, just consider maybe it's going to be 50-50. 50% of the town can pay for their own, and 50% can't. And maybe we, instead of doing a loan, we think about, do we have an internal town funding request? I don't know what to call it, but for people who are unable to replace their own water meters. I'm just throwing it out there as an option.
So if I understand right, what you're asking about is giving them a option of a payment plan to pay for their meter over a certain amount of time. Is that what you're talking about?
Payment, or Sam, that could be one option. Another could be that we establish like the COVID fund, but it's not COVID. We establish a town fund that people can submit an application for. Or maybe it's funded by a loan, but a smaller loan, because half of us can cover the cost of our own installations and meters. I mean, the history is that it was, if I'm recalling correctly, the meter is the cost of the homeowner. That's how we established
Right.
I believe
at the
that's
beginning.
how it is right now.
It is.
Yeah.
I was just looking for a way around that, trying to take some of the burden off of people of the town.
Absolutely, Sam. I hear that. And so I'm just saying maybe it's a mix of things.
Okay. So this
And
sounds like it's
maybe-
something for a further discussion later on. And TJ, if we decide that we want to go for a loan, we'll tell you that at that time. Otherwise, for now, take it off the table.
Sounds good. And just to kind of go with that other options component, and this would require probably a little bit more discussion, but it could be rolled into the next project too. So a CDBG grant. So that's a good segue into that, where the scope of this roadway replacement plan has kind of morphed throughout our discussions. And then as the more information I'm getting, and again, it seems like it just changes every day over the last 6 months or so with funding availability and where the state is financially. But for the roadway replacement plan, my understanding is that the town's highest priority here is to physically repair the streets, as opposed to a feasibility study or a plan or design. The goal is to get new streets kind of in place. The problem there is that there's not much grant money available for physical installation of infrastructure like streets. But with that being said, the best thing out there potentially is this community development block grant that could cover. So that's federal money that is really focused on mitigating blight. And I know nobody really likes that term, It's a legal term. It's the same one that's used in URA statutes here in Colorado. But it's, so you have something that's outdated, old, and falling apart, or eyesore, or something that's impacting the development potential, economic development impacts of something, the vitality of something, and you can repair it. So that's where maybe these water meters could come in. Again, I don't know about that. We'd have to explore that with DOLA, but if we went with this CDBG grant to do anything with the streets, really, you're going to still have to pay some out-of-pocket money, because there's going to be a lot of that project that isn't eligible for that grant. Now, that's without me going through and dialing down into those numbers, which is why I didn't want to go too much farther.
What? Excuse me, TJ.
Sure.
What was the grant that you talked about for the blighted areas?
So it's the Community Development Block Grant.
Okay, I believe Idaho Springs just got one of those for I think I can't remember the number, but they're using it for sidewalk repair. Is that
correct?
Is that something that we could use something like that for? Because
yes.
we are in desperate need of sidewalk repair.
Yes. So it can be used for access. So sidewalks are for the most part eligible in there. Street amenities like benches and street lights, curb gutter are usually okay, but potentially like the and if there's any water line or sewer line that needs to be replaced, stormwater, things like that are most likely eligible. But things like the pavement or repairing the road base might not be eligible. And those are the kind of things that in talking with Clay, we'd really have to start, identifying and getting a unit cost to, and what would be eligible, what wouldn't. So yeah, just the sidewalk probably would. And I would also suspect that it could fund like a community grant program, for property owners to do something to their properties, i.e. replacing the water meter.
If it could be used for that, that would be, if we could get one of those and use part of it for the sidewalks and part of it to put together a grant program for people who can't afford to replace their water meters,
right.
That would be great.
I'm you can probably see my face. I'm a little hesitant to be too confident in that, but I think that is an argument that holds a lot of water, no pun intended. But I think that's one of the main reasons for the CDBG funding, to help the outdated and failing infrastructure.
Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, just to throw into the mix here, I'm intrigued by CBDG for sidewalks and tying it in with maybe our ongoing challenges with surface water drainage in selected areas. I wonder if, like Silver Street, as it gets riveted every year, sorry about that, as the runoff comes down the street. And similarly, what's the other street that parallels it? That's over by the large town hall. I wonder if there's a way to, consider drainage along those roadways in a way that would prevent this kind of destructive wash away that occurs every year. But anyway, I'm intrigued by this idea.
Yeah, it's a great program. There are a couple of downsides to it. One, it's limited in what it can be used for. Like I said, there are two major components. One is it has to mitigate blight. So somehow there has to be some type of an analysis done that says these are blighted areas. So that's actually a positive, right? You can go through and do a study of the whole town and say, then you specify exactly, where you're looking at geographically through the town and what those elements are that would be considered blight. And drainage is poor drainage is a typical type of a blight item. So I like where you're going, and I think the conversation is going really well to where I'm kind of going to. The other negative, the downside, or the other element of CDBG is that it has to be a disadvantaged community. Yeah, disadvantaged community, which is one of those federal. I think you guys could get it. I don't know the economics of Silver Plume, but I'm pretty sure that you'll be in there to be able to get that and eligible. So you're probably okay on those two items. The real downside, which is what makes these specifically these federal programs on appetizing, just not interesting for many small communities, is that it takes most of the time just as much money in the to manage the grant as you're getting in the grant. Because it's federal money, there are a lot of hoops to jump through, and if you miss the tiniest little thing in managing it, your program or an element or a major project component is not eligible for reimbursement. So with that, they being Clay, who's with DOLA, mentioned that they usually up the ask. So say you're asking for $200,000, they'll up it another 100, 150, depending on the scope, to actually hire somebody who this is what they do. And just unfortunately, that's not me. I don't have that kind of experience with CDBG funding, and I wouldn't suggest that I do, because I wouldn't want to put you in that case. But so you would be able to get somebody who that's what they do and manage the funds through the project with you. So I think that's a pretty solid opportunity there. But again, it's the jumping through all the federal hoops that just makes it really difficult and tedious. And you want to make sure that the project is big enough to warrant that. But again, if it's the only bucket that you can jump in, it feels pretty good to get some money. So there's that. And I think that's good for the major project. Now, as I mentioned, doing this feasibility study, and in here I call it a feasibility study and preliminary design when I was just looking at just some of the elements, but probably the next step, if that's still the end goal, which it still seems it is you can go after a DOLA administrative planning grant for up to they'll give you up to $25,000, requires a 50% match, and the project cannot be over $100,000. So say the project is $30,000, they can give you $15,000. And it can fund this feasibility study where we look at, and actually in here, most of that scope that I have in this update is probably still very relevant, right? You get a survey crew out there to do a survey of the property, the right-of-way lines. You figure out the widths and where you want sidewalks. You can start looking at on-street parking. You can start looking at drainage and topo. You can start looking at your infrastructure and identifying the highest priority needs of replacement. And you can start phasing those out and getting some cost estimates, unit costs, and a phasing plan. So that's probably a really good way to go about that. But again, that's a 50% match up front to get a project to then go after. Again, we're still on that timeline of probably next April, I think, for that federal grant. So if we can do some of the, get this admin grant here soon, start some of the analysis, and then of course through the winter you can't do a lot of the field work, but come spring you just get the field work done and you get that plan rolled out, you then have a great roadmap and support for a larger that larger ask and that larger project. So I think that's and kind of just the last thing I would say is that I kind of have this preferred recommendation that does include the feasibility study and then a phased approach to implementation. And the reason I put it that way is simply because of I don't know the cash flow situation that you guys are in. Of course, and I do have, you know, just under that on page 4 of my update, I have 5 items in there that it's kind of this, you know, as you turn this knob over here, this one over here has to twist as well. And so it's, you know, okay, it all really boils down to how much are you able to finance, whether it's a loan or a grant. But even so, the grant, they're going to make sure that you can do what you're saying you're going to do. So there's still financial responsibilities there. And then there are some ineligible expenses that they're going to want to make sure that you'll be able to do. So that's why I want to tie that earlier conversation of the loan into this grant, because both of these, both options, the loan and the grant, the CDBG fund grant, they will come in and really dive into your books. And you'll have to just make sure that you're able to finance both of those programs. As I mentioned, you could, depending on the scope of the project, you can make it really broad, but then you have to have probably a longer timeline and a longer project, or a larger scope, a larger budget, which then potentially decreases your ability to fund. So it's always this kind of balancing act, which is where I really like the idea of doing that feasibility study, because you can really start honing in on the exact elements that you want to change, where they are, and get some real costs tied to them to then go for that larger project. So I think that's kind of about it. I did include a couple of links to some other projects that have been done in the last few years around the state. I wasn't able to find anything specific to this, because typically those are just engineering documents that most communities do, and they don't really get funds to do those. But I provided the Town of Grand Lake, Fort Lupton, Town of Windsor, Timnath, and Hayden all have some, just in case you guys wanted to see what the product might be. Some of these have some really good examples of what project elements would be for something here, like a cost per unit, a map showing you know, what needs to be included on this street section, that type of stuff. So yeah, and I guess I would just kind of leave that where that's at and see if there's any questions. I know that's kind of a lot of information and probably scattered, so sorry, it's a little convoluted and difficult to follow a straight line on this one.
I do have a question for you, just to make sure that we're on the same page here. On this street replacement and stuff, you do understand we're not looking to pave the streets. We're looking to make our dirt roads drivable.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and well, I'll be honest that before actually this evening's discussion on that earlier, I didn't know exactly what that final treatment would be. But that makes perfect sense. But you'd still, you know, in order to repair the roads correctly, you're going to have to dig down probably 2 feet, put new road base down, and put it all in there. So yeah, it's still there, and it's still, you know, rebuilding the roads. But yes, whatever that surface treatment is.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we was on the same page there.
Yep.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments for TJ? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, TJ, it's a great lot of information, and I think I tracked on most of it, but the feasibility study will give us, if I'm understanding it, the baseline of information that any contractor or grant or might be looking for before they say, yes, we'll give you the $100,000 to replace all the sidewalks. Or it's not something that we would be disadvantaged if we went to an organization, a granting organization, saying, take a look at these sidewalks. We want to replace them all. They'd really want to see that foundational work. Is that what you're
That is
kind of
correct.
guiding us?
That is correct. Because at this point right now, I guess I would say, to maybe even put it a little simpler, if you wanted to go directly to the CBDG fund grant,
Yeah.
it's going to cost, you're going to have somebody go out there and say, we need to replace this because of this reason. Right. So that's what and maybe feasibility study isn't the right term. I don't really know what that term is.
Maybe some kind of an assessment.
Right, exactly. Yep. That it could be a public infrastructure assessment, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. And what I say in here is that here's where you have a whole lot of latitude where you can put out an RFP and say, here's what we want contractors or engineer firms or teams to provide the town. I want you to look at all the right-of-way widths and identify, based on our road widths, where we need to acquire more right-of-way. I want you to do an assessment of our sidewalks and say, here's where we have sidewalks, and these sidewalks are or are not ADA compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where we have some drainage facilities or stormwater facilities that need to be replaced or repaired. Here's our roadways, kind of an assessment of the roadways. So you can really identify what it is that you want them to look at. And then they'll go out and do it. And the best part here is that you could probably do that with a budget in mind, and they'll tell you what they could do for that. Because at this point, I don't know if that is a $200,000 project or a $20,000 project. Does that make some sense?
Yeah.
And honestly, you'll probably, if you send that out, you'll get the range of it, right? You'll just get somebody who walks and takes some pictures and makes some subjective observations.
Yep. And my last question, because I know we want to let you go and get onto other agenda topics, but when you were describing the other pieces to the puzzle, I got the foundational assessment thing, and then you said something about you're going to want both a loan and a CBDG grant to do what you want to do, and I got lost there.
Yeah. So you're going to start. I think this is what I understand the question to be. You'll start with the administrative grant to do the assessment, and that assessment will drive how you apply and how much you apply for in the CDBG funding.
Okay. Yep. And the assessment grant is for the feasibility study.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. No more questions. Thanks, TJ.
Yep.
Okay, so I think at this point, we should ask TJ to pursue that grant to do the study and go on from there. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Excellent. And then what I'll also do, if I understand it correctly, I'll double check with Clay to see if water meter replacements are eligible under the CDBG program. And
I just like that. I think that's a good approach too. So.
Ditto.
All right. Well, excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I got the guidance that I needed, and I'll hopefully in just a couple of meetings I'll be back here with you guys with some draft stuff to review.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, DJ.
Okay, I wasn't here when we approved the agenda, but since Sasha's not here, I take it item number 2 should be carried over to the next meeting, or what do we do with that?
Sounds good.
Table
Okay.
that in number 6 as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, was there anything added to the agenda?
The short-term rental task force update. And then the rec district and the county are looking for a letter of support for a Colorado Parks and Wildlife grant application.
That's already done.
Okay.
Super.
All right.
To clarify, Sam, on what, thanks, Tammy, on what Tammy just said, Kathy made a statement just at the beginning of the meeting, which was not to add an agenda topic on the STR work. And it was agreed that that be put on as an agenda for the next meeting for a comprehensive discussion, because we recognized, the members of the public hadn't been notified and wouldn't have the opportunity to participate in the discussion this evening. And it was also recognized that you said you had some comments you wanted to share, and I just suggested that you might wait until the next meeting to share your comments, or if not, then if you want to share comments this evening.
We're talking about the short-term rental.
Yes,
I shared
STR,
the
yeah.
comments I wanted to share in my email. I'm done with it. If somebody else wants to take it and run with it, that's great. If not, let's just forget it.
Yeah, Sam, I think there's an interest in having a discussion about it formally at the next
Okay,
meeting
that's
so
fine
that
with-
we can have,
That's fine with me. Tammy, can you put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. So anyway, Tammy, I'm sorry to intervene
No, that's
there,
okay.
but,
I did not get the emails. I apologize.
All right. Frank?
Sam, I'd like to ask the question. What is the grant that we are supporting for the county?
I believe last week I sent out some information on it from, I believe I got it from Amy Saxton. It's oh, I don't have it right here in front of me. But it's something that Parks and Recreation is applying for a grant and wanted a letter of support from the towns.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Just so we all know, that is the county open space is going for a grant to develop, improve the parking lot and signage at our newer Floyd Hill trailhead for essentially the 5 miles of, at least 5 miles of hiking and biking paths in the Floyd Hill area. So just so folks know, I thought that's what it was, but I just, that confirms it. Good.
Okay, and I
Thanks.
signed their letter for the town. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Where are we at here? Okay, Sursa property survey. I take it that's Tammy?
Did you all get that with your agenda?
I believe so.
We lucked out this year. We only walked up and down Main Street. She didn't want to go out and visit all the town properties. So I did follow up with John Volk on the questions about the water plant from last year's survey. We are in compliance with our eye wash station. The water is only turned on to it when our plant is running. So other than that, we had the pedestrian bridge. She noted a picture of it on the first page of the survey. The electrical panels at the large town hall, we have them marked with orange tape, but I guess in the confusion and scuffle with the food bank, boxes and other things got piled up in front of the electrical panel. We have to keep it clear. And then the big town hall, we also have the same gas or helium cylinder, which I'm told is empty, but it needed to be strapped to the wall. So that's the third time that's on the survey. So I'll notify peeps about the large town hall items. And then you have ongoing discussions, I guess, on the fencing along the river. So just like when they talked at the board training about acknowledging that there are issues and developing a plan for what we're going to do, we need to respond in 60 days from the date of this letter and let them know what we are going to do. So hopefully by the time I write the letter, I can have gotten someone at peeps to take care of those problems.
Okay, well, I'll get with you here in the next week or so, and we can discuss how we need to address this. We need to take care of all of those issues instead of letting them go for 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, whatever. Go ahead, whatever.
Okay, were there any more specifics about that area by the footbridge? Were they relating to the fencing, the sidewalks, or the gaff? What was the specific issues or the totality of that area, not to use the B word about?
It says the railing does not go far enough to protect the difference in elevation into the river.
Huh, interesting comment. Okay.
That's
Good.
not very straightforward.
What, Rag?
I said that was not very understandable.
No, I think protecting the elevation difference is kind of an unusual request.
Yes.
Did you guys, on the agenda, I think I attached it right before or after. There's a picture of these items with the survey and the letter from Sursa.
Okay, good. Like I say, I hadn't had a chance to check the last batch of emails. Thank you for sending that. I'll look at it then. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, Marty, you're up. Bear animal-proof trash containers.
Okay, I was just wondering, you and I had spoken to the folks over at the transfer station about a plan to give access to the citizens for the more bear-proof residential trash cans. I just wonder, have you heard anything more? And I know I haven't. And it just popped back into my mind after several incursions of our Earthsign neighbors.
I haven't heard anything more from them. I guess we've kind of dropped the ball on that. There's been so many other things going on. Maybe you and I here this next week need to make a visit over to Timberline and talk to them.
So have you heard from them at all, or?
I haven't.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe at some point when it's convenient for you, we should, since they're out and about and getting ready for the big sleep, check with them again. I'll try and get a hold of them, and I would be more than happy to do it. But you had some concrete plans that I thought were
Yeah, that's what I just said. I think you and I need to go pay him a visit here this next week sometime if we can get together with him and make an appointment or get a time where we can meet with him.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk on Wednesday on your day off and try and see what we can arrange. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. That was it. That was basically it that I had on the bear.
Okay. Is the next one's probably you too, the town signs, no parking signs, barricades.
Oh, I just want an update. I saw them that that we have access to them, and that was pretty much it. And if needed, they'll be there, and most likely, I mean, they'll probably end up in Aurora, but you know, at least let them out. And before the meeting, I talked about getting Sari to shut her yap and stop telling people to take Main Street and drive past Kathy and Don's house in an unsafe manner or in any manner at all. So, and I know we've gotten the frontage road removed from Google, which is great. But if Siri is telling people, all right, if you're on it, get off Bakerville Road and go past the transfer station and wave at Don and Kathy as you go by, and be careful not to hit any little children who are in abundance or dogs who are also in abundance, rather than telling Siri to just shut the fuck up and not tell people to go onto that road. And that was basically it. I mean, I know that's not a barricade, but it's a methodology of decreasing the intrusionary aspects of the lemming-like flow on Sundays or Friday and Saturdays in the opposite direction. Whew. That's it.
Okay.
And I was going to ask Kay with her computer expertise to address and have a showdown with Miss Siri or Ms. Siri.
Well, I know we got a bunch of new signs and barricades and such in, and I'll ask Tay to go into a little more detail on that when she sends out her public works update here in the next day or two. Number 6 is put off until till Sasha's here. Go ahead. Somebody say something.
Oh yeah, I was just, when you talk to her, if you could ask her to have a little chat with Sari too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Under old business, we have updating the building code work session. Chris?
So Tammy sent out an email that Kelly put together. One's a proposed amendment for us if we want to adopt the code as it is. One's a copy of Georgetown's code. One's a copy of Idaho Springs code. It was sent out on some short notice, and a couple days before our work session, and a couple of people couldn't make it, so we just decided that we should reschedule it all the way around. So I'm wondering what time works for everybody. I know Sasha isn't here, but maybe we can figure out a time. Or a day, sorry, excuse me, not a time.
Yeah, Chris, I'm all over that. I'm happy to contribute and generally flexible, and particularly gravitate towards, you suggested a 5 or 6 o'clock startup time. I like that idea rather than starting at 7.
Me too. If you guys would like, we could try for Monday or Tuesday, October 6th for 5 or 6 o'clock.
That would be a week from tomorrow. That'd work for me.
That works for me. I think 6 works better for Sasha, if I remember right. So we can do 6 o'clock if you guys are okay with that as well.
6. Yep. That sounds good.
And just to make sure you guys all got that email, right? So you have the information.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's long, but the actual changes are, pretty laid out in a good fashion. They're underlined or outlined or something like that, or highlined or something.
Like Marty already pointed out, I don't know if we're gonna have a swimming pool deal in there, but it's in there right now. We can leave it. We can get rid of it. Whatever. We can have a work session about it.
Yeah, we should discuss the municipal swimming pool, the safety protocols for the municipal swimming pool.
I mean, there really might be some insurance liabilities, swimming pool in the summer, ice rink in the winter. I don't know. But
Maybe we could also, I know we talked to Joe and Barbara when we started that process about a year ago. And the answer then, as the answer was the other day, is that we're going to be adopting the international code by reference. So we don't need to really sit down and go through every chapter and take things out. But there is wording in the other ordinances that the other little towns have used to incorporate their design guidelines, for instance, and your historic guidelines and requirements. So it may be a little bit less intimidating after we get together and have Kelly explain it for us.
yes.
Good, good.
And that was my next thing. Tammy, I'm sure you'll let him know, but Kelly said if he's around, he will zoom in with us and give us any pointers and answer questions to the best of his knowledge. Everybody else in the county's used him to kind of lean on when we're adopting this building code, and he's kind of been pushing it out there so everybody's on the same code. So as long as he has nothing going on that night, he will come zoom in with us.
Okay, I'll get a notice out as quick as I can.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Chris, might we change our night if he's not available? I mean,
I'm totally okay with that because I would like Kelly to be there. He can
Yeah,
explain
yeah.
a lot of this a lot better. So
So you'll let us know if we need to change the night.
yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, the last item on the agenda are the town vehicles. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the last meeting, and I've meant to talk to Chris and see how that turned out. What did we decide about the rear end for the dump truck?
We bought the whole truck. As soon as you're ready for it, Sam, we're gonna bring it up there to Eric. Will bring it up to the shop up there.
Okay,
They need to pull the motor out of it, and that's it because that's theirs. But the rest of the
Okay.
truck will be brought up to you and take what we need.
okay, well, as soon as we can, let's get that done, and then would you mind, could you haul the town's dump truck down to my shop?
Yes, I
So I
can.
can do it all right there, and I'll get the rear end switched and get it back together and get it up here so we can get the sander put in it and get it ready for the winter.
Yes.
I'm
I
still
like it.
I'm still waiting on the title for the little Mazda truck. I haven't done anything with it yet because I don't want to put money into it until we have the title in our name. Tay's in the process of getting that done. I guess gentleman that donated the truck has misplaced the title, so he needs to come to Georgetown and get a copy of it.
Gebhardt, yeah.
So that's in process. The plow truck, there's been a comment made about Tay using her personal vehicle for town business and that she should use the plow truck. And I mentioned that to her, and when we had the inspections done, there were some problems, I believe, in the front end of the plow truck that we need to address before it's viable to take down the highway to take care of town business out of town. I should probably get some estimates and get that in process so we can get that taken care of so we can put a stop to Tay using our own vehicle.
What's wrong with the front end, Sam?
I'll have to go back through my email and get the list on it, but I believe it had some wore out bushings, A-arm bushings or something like that. I can't remember for sure. I'll look it up and let everybody know at the next meeting, and maybe I can have some estimates for getting it repaired by then.
Sounds good.
All right. What else is left here? We got the mayors and committees report. The biggest thing that I want to talk about there is, as far as I can tell, we're about 2 months behind on our budget committee. and we need to get that going. What is the deadline for us having the budget put together? Tammy, Sarah?
We need to pass it before the second meeting in December at the very latest.
Okay. So we need the budget committee to start meeting as soon as possible. Sarah, what's your thoughts?
We need to, I totally agree. I would love it if we could meet sometime next week or, and it's all depending on, Tammy, when you kind of feel like you've got our books together and you and I work together on entering 2019 into the spreadsheet and stuff like that. So Tammy, I guess we turn to you to help us think through the timeline on this. And can you and I kind of get that stuff done later this week or early next so that we can then schedule a budget committee meeting?
Yes, maybe you and I could get together in the morning and talk about that and sign the checks. Are you available?
Yeah, I can be for a little bit, and then certainly later in the afternoon. I got a thing
Okay,
down in Denver at 11.
okay. A lot of the last minute things with the numbers that I just got back is to have our server working so I can receive the file back and then I can immediately transfer it to you.
Okay.
So Tammy, you and I could probably put our heads together and get the spreadsheet updated, and you'll be able to get our books updated by, what do you think, the middle of next week?
No, our books are just returned to me on sometime after I left on Thursday. But again, I did not have any server today, so I was unable to download our file from
Right. This week, but if.
So I'm hoping the minute I get that internet back up and working, I should be able to download our file and then transfer the numbers to you immediately.
Yeah, but you're also putting together the budget books,
Yes,
right?
and
For the
I
committee.
need to get with the county. I have not gotten your evaluation yet. So I had hoped to have that in August. So I just
Right.
have a lot of follow-up and no tools to, if I can't get the internet working, I'll just call down the list. Kelly was also going to get me a mill levy number. So I'm very close.
Good. So can we aim at you and I getting whatever we need to get together a week from Wednesday or something like that, so we can put do you think that's a reasonable time
I
frame,
think we can
Tammy, is
get
kind
it
of what I'm-
together by Wednesday or Thursday of this week.
Of this week? Okay. So we could put a date on, we should put a date, Sam, on the calendar for the following week.
Okay.
And aim towards it. If we have to move it, we move it.
Okay. I'm open every night except Tuesday, just like everybody else is gonna be busy Tuesday night, so any day but then.
I'm pretty open as well.
Yep, me too.
So
And Sasha, the other person, right?
Sasha, Chris, Sam, and Sarah.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
yeah.
So we'll just see when Sasha's available.
Yeah, see what,
Tammy, can you do that?
because I wouldn't
Okay.
even be against doing it Tuesday and Wednesday.
I'm sorry, did you guys have a date?
No, I said I wouldn't be against doing it Wednesday, the following, 2 nights in a row.
Oh,
That'd be fine with me. Sarah, I'll leave it up to you to get a hold of Sasha and come up with a date. Chris and I are both good with doing it Wednesday. If Sasha is, so
Yeah.
if you could make that contact and then let us know for sure.
And Tammy, maybe I'll work with you on helping me do that so that I don't step in the way of progress here. So that means we're talking about October
7th.
7th. Yeah.
And I'm okay
So,
with
Tammy-
5 or 6 as well.
Cool. And Tammy, are you able to assess dates with Sasha and see if she's available at 6 on the 7th?
I can do that, yes.
Thank you. Cool.
I'll get those books out to you as soon as possible so you can start studying what I've got.
Sounds great.
I figured it would be easier for you to look at paper forms of last year's budget to see what all the line items, rather than everyone going through their computers while they're on the Zoom meeting.
I
Okay.
thought we agreed we're doing our budget meeting in person
I think that's what we did agree on.
because it's going to be a hassle if we do not.
So do we want to do that in the town hall with a laptop running?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll bring my computer. And I'm okay with that too. We're going to be masked and that's cool. And Tammy, can you see if Sasha's okay with meeting in person? And
She
Yes,
was last time, so.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. I think that's all I have. Did I miss anything, Sarah? Frank, did you have some?
Yeah, if I could add an update on some of the trails on our town open space for just a few minutes.
Sure.
Is that
Yep.
okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The county trail crews, we've had them working on the Notch Trail that of course that goes from Silver Plume to Georgetown. On our end, it starts on the town land, up off the Pulaski Road, up off my back driveway. The trail crew's been working on the trail, reopening it, and it's marked with blue diamond trail markers. And they just installed some name signs that say Notch Trail on both the Georgetown end and the Silver Plume end. And they did that work this afternoon. The real advantage of this trail is that when people know there's an alternative hiking trail from between Georgetown and Silver Plume that does not go through the railroad park and our cemetery, that it will take off. Hopefully, it will reduce some of the hiking that goes on along that trail that goes down through the railroad park. The Notch Trail is not a mountain bike trail. It's a hiking trail. It kind of goes up and downhill, but eventually ends up joining the Granella Pass Road just above Georgetown. So just want to let everybody know that if anyone asks, that trail is marked, open for use. And it's part of Silver Plumes has been assigned that trail as part of the Historic District Public Lands Commission Open Lands Management. The town accepted that years ago, along with the Argentine Railroad grade. And Robert Graham is our town representative to the Historic District Public Lands Commission. Just so there's a little background information if anyone gets asked anything.
That's great, Sam. Sam Frank. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of neat we had that trail closed for years because a piece of private land at the Georgetown end, the landowner didn't want the public using it. But that's the piece that the county open space bought this winter. So now we can have that trail open again. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I think I think we're done. There's one thing that I was asked to talk to the board about, but it didn't get put on the agenda. So I'll have Tammy put it on the agenda for the next meeting. There's a discussion with Joe about some work that he's done and he'd like to get paid for it. But I'll have Tammy put that on the agenda for the next meeting. All right. Does anybody want to adjourn?
I move to adjourn. Oh,
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right.
Night, everyone. Thank you. And stay safe.
Have a good night, guys.
good
All
night.
right. Good night.
Thank you.